This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1228, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando, sunny, cool but not cold, Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Cameron Strang. Joining me from Loverland, Virginia, it's Jesse Carey.
Brisk, clean, and cool, I would say, this morning. We had the most disappointing snowstorm of all time this weekend.
And from Nashville, where it is a tundra for the last 2 weeks, are literally recording in a Snuggie. It's our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Listen, I'm pretty proud of the way that I've layered myself up in an actual snowstorm for being a Texas girl. So,
literally, Jesse, she's not recording now in a Snuggie, but I'm telling you, every time we video chatted in the last 2 weeks, like she's reluctant when I send the video chat, like I want to screen share or something. She's reluctant it's like there's like an extra 20 seconds before she jumps on. And then, boom, she fills the screen, and she is wearing full blankets. She's cocooned herself in some sort of sleeping bag situation. It's so funny to me.
Listen,
it's not
I'm
a
jealous.
Snuggie, it's a comfy, which is like a wearable fleece sweatshirt. Okay?
Yeah.
A wearable sleeping bag is what...
Well, frankly, I'm jealous. We were supposed to get a big snowstorm here, and everyone, adults to children alike, were prepping for a good old-fashioned snow day.
Yeah, we talked about it, the sledding and stuff. We talked about it last week, so it didn't fulfill your wildest dreams.
Everyone woke up that morning, and it was a light dusting overnight. No, certainly not enough to play in any way. Like I had multiple text messages. These are from adults, who were planning on different activities for everyone. Just absolutely devastated that there was no snow. I mean, later in the day, everything had melted. It was just like a normal winter day. Sun was out. It was incredibly disappointing. So I'm very jealous about Emily's winter experience there.
Emily made a full-on snowman.
I did not. The kids in my apartment complex did, but I did take a picture of it because it was funny. But yeah, they put like sunglasses, a scarf, a hat. They made him look very dapper.
A full, real carrot nose. Yeah. It was very well accessorized. I thought that was you. I was very impressed. Oh, well.
I should have taken credit for it. Okay, let's edit this to where it sounds like I invested time in a massive snowman.
I will say this, too. This is the time of year you need stuff like that. You need stuff to get you through because it's post-Christmas, like the holidays are over. Yep. And there's just not that, it gets dark early. It's, it's colder. It's just not. This is the stretch. There's just not a lot to look forward to. I mean, we got Super Bowl Sunday and Valentine's Day, but it's not.
But see, those are in February. Like January is the longest month of the year, and I know that technically, yes, there's other months that have 31 days in them, but spiritually, January is the longest.
I think I think we have a new. As you're listening to this, behind the curtain, we recorded before the inauguration, so I don't know how that all played out. But I will say this: we have a new administration, and I'm not going to get political here, but I'm just saying there is an opportunity for some rogue element in this administration to establish a really cool holiday in January just to get people through. I'm not suggesting they do it. But if I found myself in political office, I would immediately, like January 18th.
Jesse, they did. MLK Day.
I'm talking like one where people like get together, not like the day off. Okay.
The NBA has games all day long on MLK Day. Like it's a Monday, like you're off work and it's like they're making it a holiday full of basketball and stuff.
I'm thinking something that would involve like gift giving, fireworks.
We just gave gifts. We're paying off those credit cards still. You can't give more gifts.
I don't feel like a holidays. Like I feel like there's holidays, and then there's like ones. If it involves decorations, that's what I'm talking about, where people throw parties. Mm-hmm. Okay, obviously I respect MLK Day, and there's holidays and days we recognize throughout the year. I'm talking about where people are throwing parties that involve decorations. That's a different level of holiday. I think that's what January needs,
see, okay, there kind of is though, but it's New Year's Day. And it's like, okay, so day one of the month, now we're done celebrating, and I got to wait until a month and a half to like do the decoration thing.
Yeah, 6 weeks. Y'all can't go 6 weeks without a party. What do you work at for Michael Scott? Are you literally Michael Scott? You can't go 6 weeks without throwing a party?
Michael Scott was a national treasure.
You know what? He might have been onto something.
Treasure. Exactly. That's it.
How dare
and
you.
it needs to be something fun. We need like a real curveball. Like
he did the 5505 party. He did the tsunami fundraiser, not the fundraiser, but the fundraiser because everybody was bothered by the footage, so he put to raise their spirits. Yeah, you just come up with reasons to throw themed parties is what you're saying.
It needs to be like National Masquerade Ball Night or something. And it's just like, people love costumes. Halloween's a huge hit.
Wasn't that a Tom Cruise movie where they wore the masks and did the masquerade with Nicole Kidman?
Not exactly that kind. I was thinking of. I was thinking more grandiose. Something that would involve, capes and things.
Again, I think that was the Tom Cruise movie. I think it's winter. It's dark out.
Yeah. How about this one? I got a new one. Because my family's recently, I've told you guys this, we're big board game people. And we've recently really got into Clue. We've been playing a lot of Clue, which I don't know if have you guys played Clue in a long time? Still holds up, even though the premise of the game is to figure out who was bludgeoned to death in the dark corner of a mansion with a candlestick. Your 7-year-old really
loves it. Yeah.
My parents have the Clue Simpsons edition, and so that's fun because there's like a poison donut and
never played it. Yeah, never played it.
Still involves murder.
I think I was told as a kid at VBS that it was like Dungeons and Dragons. So we weren't like.
You've been.
I don't see how it's possibly like Dungeons and Dragons, but it is. But here's what I'm saying. I've had a great time. I feel like we're in a real golden age for whodunits. We got the Knives Out franchise. They're remaking all those Agatha Christie movies.
Peacock. It's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. They did those Agatha Christie movies like Murder on the Orient Express. Like they're making all those. We're in a really great age of only murders in the building. Takes the whole. We need. Here it is. Okay. This would give people something to look forward to get over the hump kind of late January, maybe January, between the stretch from the 15th to the 25th. National Murder Mystery Day. And there's murder mystery parties all over the country.
You can't have that in the same week as MLK Day. You can't have a murder holiday.
Yeah, have it the week after.
No, you can't. You can't have murder adjacent to MLK.
This isn't an assassination. You're taking this in a direction. This is an old-fashioned whodunit. Okay, this is something to celebrate detective work.
Okay.
within community and
to celebrate the detectives. That's what you're saying. We put little flags in the like I stand with the detectives kind of a thing.
No, detective work. There's a difference. Okay. Because likely that in some of these mysteries, the detective's probably the one who did it. Depending on, exactly. So, I mean, we could be
depending on coming out.
My family when I was a kid, we went to London for a holiday, and we went to the West End and saw a play, a real life play. So my parents, wanted to get some family friendly, whatever. So we went to an actual Agatha Christie play in London, and the detective did it. Just FYI. Just so you know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I will celebrate the detective work, but we don't know
because not corruption. You're anti-corruption. You're pro detective.
Exactly.
Work.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know. I'm not going to spoil it by rolling the detectives out. That's not fun. So, but what I've always wanted to do one of those murder mystery nights. Okay, I almost went the other night. We had nothing to do, and we saw one. It was sold out.
There's like 20 of them in Orlando. Next time you're down, let's just go to one.
Look, Michael, they did it on The Office. They had speaking of Michael Scott knows what's up. I'm just saying, if during this dark, cold stretch of going from Christmas and you got to wait till like Valentine's Day or Super Bowl, and then
some of us don't have a Valentine's Day to look forward to. So we're
even more
we're
reason.
Waiting all the way to St. Patrick's Day. I mean,
even more reason to have a national murder mystery. It's a murder mystery night, and it's an American celebration of good old fashioned shoe gum detective work. Again. Not detectives, okay? Because they could have done it. I'm not accusing them. I'm just saying at this point in the night, everyone's a suspect, okay?
I have done like some of those murder mystery parties. Like, you can like buy the like.
I've never done it. So how does it work? Is it like it was on The Office where you get like a little card saying your backstory?
I did one in college. I hosted it. It was a beauty pageant themed, and so we were all assigned different characters, obviously different like states and stuff. And then you get like a little almost like dossier on like your background character, and then you are like trying to figure things out. And it's like it'll also say things like if someone asks you about something, you have to respond in this way to kind of like direct it. But it's really fun. I have friends every year for Halloween. They host a murder mystery party like for their friends.
Is there like a party game that you don't have the cards and stuff, but there's a party game that's kind of like this, that it's like there's somebody who's the murderer?
Among Us.
Is that really what it's called?
Are you talking about Werewolf?
Something like that. It's like y'all kind of in a circle.
Or like Mafia.
Mafia, that kind of thing. Okay, so weirdest story ever. This is the only time I've ever played one of these. I've never played one ever. And so I was on a cruise ship with all these celebrities. Kristen, what's her name? The one that's on the Netflix show we like? The short blonde.
Which Netflix show?
Oh, Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell. She was on it. We were hanging out. So it's her friends, some mutual friends, Kristen Bell, whatever. We're all hanging out. And they're like, hey, let's go. There's this like lounge that was like closed off and like nobody's in there. Let's just hang out, talk. And then somebody said, hey, let's play that game. Right. Yeah. And I was like, I've never played this in my life. Okay, so long story short, I'm the first one out. I have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
And they keep going. And I just have nothing to do. So I just wander around and I see on the other side of the lounge, Questlove is setting up to DJ, like a late night.
He's the murderer, right?
The DJ party. Or he's DJing some party that's going to happen later. And we were just in the room beforehand. And so I go over while they continue to play this murder game and I'm out. So I have no role to play. I just wander over to Questlove while he's setting up his turntables, and I stand there across the table from him, and I'm quietly watching him. I'm a huge fan, and I go, "Is it cool if I watch?" And he goes, he didn't even look up. He just goes, "Kind of weird, dude." And I wandered off. So I couldn't play the murder game, and I couldn't hang out with Questlove. So I haven't played a murder game since because of that trauma.
Well,
so
I'll be honest. When you started that story, I thought you were going to like flex that you would play this really cool game with all these celebrities, but
I lasted about a minute.
The ending kind of backfired for you.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I do not belong in that circle.
But the thing is, if by national decree you were playing it at least once a year, you'd probably get better than you were that night.
True. I've never played. I was inexperienced. I was the first one out. All the cool LA people do it at house parties. Who knew? I didn't know.
I would, I don't care what cabinet position I held, I could be Secretary of the Interior, and my first order of business would be to call a press conference and introduce National Murder Mystery Night.
Well, I think the interior is all about, drapes and interior decorating. So activities that happen in the interior.
That's from my understanding. That's from my understanding.
Indoor activities is part of the Secretary of the Interior, so it's perfect.
It would be under my watch, and whatever else they're doing, we'll discount it. Someone else can figure that out. I'm concerned about two things. One is national indoor decoration standards. Two, Venetian blinds are out. It's an American country. Nothing named for Venice.
The Gulf of America. No Venetian blinds.
Yeah, exactly. I would. No Venetian blinds. First order of business. We're taking this serious. Proper TV placement. Okay, who's hanging them over fireplaces? All right. That's a fine.
You,
okay?
Your house.
I know. I'm just joking. I would accept the fine, but I would be fined because that's the law now. Because we're a nation of law and order.
That's right.
And then, secondly, after they handle all of that, it would be National Murder Mystery Night, and it would be again mandatory. Actual detectives would be roaming the street trying to find people that aren't playing, and they would go to jail.
How you know who the real murderers are.
In your scenario, what about the people like me that only last a minute into the game, and then they're just wandering around alone because they can't play anymore?
That's a good question. You'd be fined as well.
If you stink at the game.
We're raising the national standard here. Okay, this is the USA. Not a lot of people like these laws, but this is what we're doing now. So here we go, America.
So that's how you get through the winter doldrums. Elect Jesse.
Mandatory murder mystery nights. Yes, and harsh penalties for those ejected from the game early on. You better take this serious.
I have empathy for you guys, my friends who are cold. I can't identify. I mean, like literally, it is sunny.
I haven't felt very much empathy this week.
Sunny and 70 right now outside. It's lovely this time of year. This is like the best time of year in where I live. So
I don't mind it. It's just there's just not a lot to look forward to. You know, it's just not like the other times a year where, like, the holidays are cold, but it's fine because, it's the holidays.
Wait, what do you mean, though? Like, after July 4th, you're going all the way to Halloween. There's, like, a way longer run there.
But you're at least outside
Labor Day, I
and
guess,
you can, like,
in the
do
middle.
things.
Yeah, you got pool
like,
parties and
winter,
and
that's the thing. It's like, I'm inside all the time. So it's like, I need excuses to, like, go out and have fun.
And it gets dark earlier, you know?
Yeah.
And so a murder mystery night, you know, it's a great thing, and America should embrace it immediately.
Coming up later, we talked to Jinger Duggar Vuolo. We've had her on the show before. She kind of told her story of kind of exiting stage left of the Duggar clan thing. She has a new book coming out, so we talked to her about that. Her story is fascinating. Also, at the end of the show, we have your feedback, because last show, if you heard it with Derek and Marty, we switched things up and played a game with them. All right, but right now, stay tuned. After this break, it's Slices.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow, available now wherever books are sold.
Okay, it's time for
Slices.
All right, what do you have, Jesse?
All right, so I want to bring an update about the new Narnia adaptation from filmmaker Greta Gerwig, which I think we're all pretty excited about. Oh, go ahead, Cameron. You look like you're about to say something.
Can I caveat this? Okay, first of all, you're speaking Emily's love language. I mean, I can't tell you.
I know.
I cannot tell you how obsessed she is with the idea of Greta Gerwig doing Narnia. She has a tattoo that she's showing us right now.
Yeah.
But two, because of her enthusiasm and our nostalgia, we all Christian kids grew up reading the book. And Greta's awesome. Now that we're cool adults, we like her work.
Yes.
This seems like a perfect confluence for the relevant audience, right?
That's right.
So anytime we posted about this, because we're excited about it, absolute crickets. We have learned the hard way that our audience does not actually care about Greta Gerwig's Narnia stuff. Maybe I'm hoping it's just they don't know about it yet, so they're not excited yet. So please tell us get our audience excited about it, Jesse.
Well, first, there's some context that we learned recently from Amy Pascal, a major studio executive who's been involved with the film, that there's going to be a little twist. Now, don't answer. Just so you guys know what the twist is.
I don't.
Absolutely, I do.
It's a murder mystery. Just kidding. Mr. Tumnus is found brutally bludgeoned to death in the wardrobe the very first scene.
There's that Disney and Detective Frog character makes an appearance, and he solves the crime.
Yeah. It's who killed Mr. Tumnus and for what reason. And so let's put some pants on that guy this time
For some reason, Mr. Toad takes a wild ride. It's this whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
No, it's so previously it had been unveiled because not a lot was known about the film, but after coming off of Barbie, where it was kind of a lot of people are very curious of what direction she would take that movie, that IP, and to pretty much universal acclaim. Barbie was awesome and very entertaining and was an interesting take on it. a lot of people were kind of curious of how straightforward she would play the C.S. Lewis novel, because as people familiar with the novel, for people who are familiar with the novel, they'll understand it's basically written in a way that could be adapted to a 90-minute to 2-hour movie. Pretty straightforward, right? Like it's a pretty succinct story. But Amy
like
Pascal,
a linear narrative, like a journey that happens.
Yeah, and not only that, it's not even. I don't know when the last time you guys read it is. I read it in the last year to one of my kids. It's not that long. Like this isn't like one of the Tolkien novels where you got to break it up between like 8 3-hour movies. Like you could tell The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe pretty succinctly, but Amy Pascal raised eyebrows because she said back in September that this version of Narnia is, quote, all about rock and roll. So there's hints that there could be some sort of musical element to the film, which, for one, I fully support. Let's do this thing. So, but it's also being made for Netflix. And so, Netflix has funded a lot of big movies. But the one thing about Netflix, and as you guys are consumers of culture, a lot of even big budget movies sort of have this Netflix feel to them, this sort of visual sheen that it feels like a real movie, but it also feels like a Netflix movie. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, for sure.
Cameron, you kind of get that. Like,
I don't watch Netflix movies, so I couldn't tell you honestly. I can't think. I'm not a movie guy. I'm a TV guy. So like, I don't know.
I think I noticed it too because I do go to movie theaters a lot, and there are a lot of movies I've watched on Netflix that I just am aware. Like, if I was seeing this in a theater, I would be having a much different experience.
So is it a color grading thing? Like they color grade their stuff for television instead of a projector?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So everything feels like there was like that spy movie with Ryan Reynolds. I can't remember what it was called, The Gray Man, or not Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling, or any of their action stuff. The color feels a little too vibrant, a little digitally. It feels like you're watching a movie, but again, it feels like you're watching a Netflix movie. Where I recently watched the latest Mission Impossible that's on like Prime, which was shot in the highest grade literal film possible for IMAX screens, and it felt like a movie, you know? So there was some new news with Narnia this week that Greta Gerwig has announced that the Narnia film, when it releases next Thanksgiving, so leading up to Murder Mystery Night in America, it will be released. It will have a 2-week runtime in IMAX theaters. So she negotiated with Netflix. She felt like it was really critical that this film get a scaled release. And that kind of undercuts some of Netflix's business model, where they want everyone tuning in only to their outlet to watch the movie when it first hits. But she negotiated it's getting a 2-week run in IMAX theaters. So not only will we get the chance to experience in the highest quality film format available to most consumers, but it also indicates it's going to probably be shot with IMAX cameras. Like, for example, if you watch The Dark Knight feels visually bigger because the aspect ratio is actually even wider for IMAX formats. So there's indications that this movie is going to have a really highly elevated production value, even for something with a budget like that.
The thing when you said that it's going to be like rock and roll, I did not take as implying musical when I saw that, because we reported that. I took it as like it's going to be edgy and not like children's,
like punk rock. Like it's going to be punk rock.
Yeah, it's going to like visually be cool and not like kiddie, like the Walden Media version. That's how I took it. So you took it as music, you think?
Some people are theorizing that that's what she meant by that.
We don't want the little sheep man to start singing, do we? I mean,
like fawn, first off.
Well, I will. So even if it's not because some people I think have interpreted it as possibly a musical. I'm hoping it's more aesthetic,
like right. And don't you?
But again, it's hard to make a rock and roll version of C.S. Lewis, especially with kids and little fantasy animal. It's not. It is inherently dorky, right? Like you got talking minotaurs and stuff. But if they did an approach where it kind of had like that Scorsese needle drops where right in the middle of the scenes, like it's not this big orchestral score where it is cool, like, like Scorsese, right in the middle of a really dramatic scene, all of a sudden it's like a Rolling Stones song will be like blasting, and they have this like kind of rock and roll edge. I'm just glad she's taking that approach because, like I said, I think Narnia is cool and all. It's a great story, but it is one of the dorkiest things ever.
It's about Jesus, don't you? That kind of, yeah.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And no offense by dorkiest thing ever, Emily, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
she's like,
no, I actually can't. Tattooed. I actually don't understand anything.
I'm literally tattooed.
Fantasy.
Please don't call my tattoo dorky.
No, but
I get what you mean.
But like from an entertainment standpoint, like fantasy is not like known as the coolest.
Well, the World of Media version didn't really help it either. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Okay, those are very important movies to me when I was a kid.
Because you were a kid.
Do want to clarify. That's the thing. I do want to clarify.
Sesame Street was also important to you too at one point.
I love Narnia because it was like really pivotal to me as a kid, and it is about Jesus, and it did genuinely like impact how I view God, and because I was so obsessed with these books and movies and stuff. So that's why I'm excited. I do recognize that it can be a little dorky, but I think Greta, like, I know people keep talking about what Greta did with Barbie, like, as is she going to do that with Narnia? I liked Barbie. I want what she did with Little Women to be what she does with Narnia, because like, I think that's a better comparison anyways, because Little Women is technically like a children's book too, that she made, like, it doesn't feel like a children's book. It feels like something that I can watch as an adult and love, and there's thoughtfulness and nuance to it. And I want her to do that with Narnia so that everyone can see what I've always seen since I was a young kid.
When the rock and roll thing came out, we sliced it obviously on the site, and then we posted it on Instagram. And how do you visually, like, we showed a picture of Greta,
yeah,
and then we did this little inset using AI of Aslan rock and rolling, like playing a guitar, like like in a circle.
I thought he had drumsticks, maybe, or something like that.
It did not do well. It did not do well at all. So.
See that it should have been like I said, Mr. Tumnus and his little Minotaur body or whatever, with like an electric guitar with like a big Union Jack on it, like a British flag electric guitar. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm interested now. You have my attention.
No. It was Aslan doing the rock and roll hands. That's what what I mean. That's what he did. Hey, look at that. That's what it was. It did not do well. So that's what I told Emily. I was like, look at the engagement on that post. I don't think our audience cares about Narnia, and she kind of pointed out we might have botched it with our AI Aslan doing rock and roll hands stuff.
We might have made it, because that's the thing too. It's like Amy Pascal saying it's rock and roll. I'm like, what? Like, literally, what does that mean? Because I'm in my mind, I'm like, she just was saying a phrase that she should not have said. Yeah, but it's like there's so few details about this that it's like, you kind of got to be a little more specific. You can't just be saying this is rock.
But there is a way, like, what's the Sofia Coppola movie that was the Marie Antoinette? Like, didn't that have big indie rock music throughout? And it was like, oh, this is a historic timepiece, costume drama about Marie Antoinette, but it's got like the national rock, I can't remember if they were specifically in it, but I feel like I have memories of that movie playing like indie rock during a costume drama, and it worked.
You really do think that this is going to be like a score, kind of like a? Like Garden State is equally known for its music as it was the film or story.
Okay,
you think
you said Well, I'll take another one, because when you say Garden State, yes, but also one that is like, but Garden State, like the music played a role in the movie where like, I guess this one did too, but think about like in like Guardians of the Galaxy, like that is literally a rock and roll movie. Like they play 70s rock
of the ride, even is the music.
Exactly. So that's how I was interpreting it. Like,
really?
Oh, are you taking a role where this movie has a feel, and the feel is rock and roll? When I think of rock and roll movies, I think of Guardians of the Galaxy, or I think, or remember there was one back in the day that I don't know how it's aged, but I remember seeing it back at the time. I was like, oh, it was A Knight's Tale with like Heath Ledger, where it was like a medieval knight movie, but it was 70s rock and 80s rock. And it was like, oh, that's how I interpret it. I could be wrong, but I got to be honest. I think it'd be a cool direction to take.
When
Narnia.
the kids go through the wardrobe and they enter the land of Narnia, Foreigner starts playing because they're foreigners in this land.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. I see where you're going with this.
And when Aslan, makes his plea to the children, it's don't stop believing, because that is the message.
Because you need to believe in Jesus. Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. When the White Witch, it's we will rock you.
Yeah.
Because doesn't she turn people to stone?
Love it.
Am I wrong about that?
No.
Yeah.
She
We
turns
will
people
rock
to
you.
stone.
And she's literally rocking people by turning them to stone.
See, the thing though is like, we don't know if
I'm
she's
working
even
on the film
doing.
with Greta Gerwin, guys.
Guys, that's the
even know
announcement.
if
You
she-
buried the lead, buddy. Oh, and by the way, I'm the music supervisor for the movie.
Yeah. She said the first notes were it's a little on the nose, and I said, read them again. No notes here. This is what we're doing.
And also remove Narnia. No Venetian blinds. Nowhere to be seen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be against the law now. That's an act of treason from here on.
All right, what do you have, Emily?
Okay.
Take your gondola. Take your gondola. And go somewhere where those blinds are welcome, but not in these colors don't run. Okay.
Completely switching gears. We have to talk about just this insane thing that the founder of Bumble said about how tech is going to impact online dating, which I know I've talked about just the kind of bleakness of online dating before. What she said is somehow going to make it even worse, which I guess kudos to her for that.
Wait, kudos to her for making online dating worse, or just that she's...
because I didn't think it could get worse.
And gotcha. So you're okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then she says what I'm about to say, and I was like, oh, so I didn't even realize that it could get much worse than that. So this is during a technology summit. Her name's Whitney Wolf Herd. So she said, the future of online dating is having your AI date other people's AI and recommend the best matches for you to meet.
Okay. Let me wrap my head around this. So you currently have a profile and you browse other profiles. You like one. If they like you back, you have a match. In her scenario, once you've matched, your AI will start conversing with that person's AI. And if there's chemistry, then you'll be told, hey, you guys will probably hit it off.
No, not necessarily. Okay. So what she's saying is like my AI, it'll learn me. So it'll know my personality, my likes, disinterests, all that stuff, what I'm looking for in a partner. And it will essentially swipe for me.
Oh.
And it will find people that I should like recommending based on that and saying, these are the people you should meet. So it's like filtering out people that I might not necessarily match with, but based on what the algorithm thinks that I'll get along with.
Not the algorithm. AI is different than algorithm, though. I will say that.
The AI decision making skills.
Okay. This is interesting because like I wonder the factors, because the algorithm probably informs the artificial intelligence, right? Yeah, but there's the old adage that opposites attract, right? That like,
but it would know that.
But would it? And that's what I'm asking.
I would say all psychological knowledge of successful relationship dynamics would be inputted into the thing.
But that's where I'm skeptical because love often is not, a formulaic equation. Like it's the same reason why AI can't write a good joke is the same reason. There's a degree of humanity that goes into this that I look, and I think AI is useful for a lot of practical tasks. But when the task involves, like I said, degrees of humanity, like something like almost human emotion or human intuition, that's where I feel like it fails. Look, I don't care if people try this, but I would say I'm skeptical of its ability to replicate the human romance.
Okay, so I'm hearing you and agree that it can't predict chemistry, right? I mean, even pheromones and stuff, right? I mean, there's something about attraction that is organic and human, but it could look at, in theory, common threads of failed relationships, common threads of successful relationships, aligned values, similar social statuses or economic statuses, interests, down the list. The not, kind of like the actual important stuff of making a successful relationship outside of chemistry and attraction. And so maybe what it does is it narrows the list down to the people who have these would be good fits. Now go date this pool of people and see which ones you have chemistry with and attraction with, kind of a thing. In that sense, I'm listening to this thinking, what if it did the same thing for like Indeed.com? And my AI browsed all the available career opportunities that are out there and said, knowing you and how you're wired, what you love, what you don't, you're organized, you're creative, this, that, whatever, these openings would be ones you should apply for. You know what I mean? Like these could be a good fit, you know?
Yeah, I could see that application. I would probably put more credence in an application like that because there's a degree of pragmatism when it comes to professional opportunities where there isn't but again, I'm somewhat playing devil's advocate here, sure. Right? To be honest, like I'm not opposed to, in principle, but when I think about the line between what humans are uniquely good at and where AI is, the cutoff is things that are difficult to quantify. Like I said, a punchline or an attraction or chemistry. That is like that's why poetry exists, because there is no expression for what love feels like unless you get really like ethereal and sort of esoteric in how you're trying to express it. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. Again, maybe I'm totally wrong, but I think I'm somewhat skeptical, but who knows, I
think I'm skeptical too, because I don't want the algorithm to not show me someone because it thinks I won't like them. Because I think like kind of what you were saying, Cameron, about like opposites attract. There are some things that it's like I might not necessarily like. I wouldn't even like think about like, am I interested in someone who's interested in this hobby or has these thoughts? I don't know. Like I don't want it to filter out people just because I didn't explicitly say like, hey, I didn't like that or I don't like that.
But isn't it true that a lot of relationships like in the opposites attract world, and I'm not saying like, I mean, a great marriage is like one person's a spender, one person's a saver, one person's organized, one person's spontaneous, that kind of thing, i.e. the Carries. But it would know that.
Exactly.
It would know that. It would kind of like point you toward the people who complement your AI. I don't know. Jesse, you said something.
Well, I will say though, like because you mentioned like finances. I don't talk about my finances on Hinge. It's like
it knows.
Oh, it knows everything. It's too late.
Yeah.
I have to cancel my credit cards
immediately. It's the whole plot of the new Mission Impossible movie, which I watched the other night. It's pretty smart, pretty scary.
Jesse,
Tom Cruise finds love on an AI app.
Emily, I do want to hear your conclusion about your thoughts on this. But Jesse, you mentioned the AI can't write a poem about what love feels like. So I went to ChatGPT and said, write a poem about what love feels like.
Let's hear it.
That's my only prompt. Write a poem about what love feels like. It says, the title of the poem is What Love Feels Like. Okay.
A little on the nose, but okay.
Bear with me. It's 5 paragraphs.
Not very poetic.
5 paragraphs.
5 stanzas, 4 lines each. Bear with me.
Okay.
Love feels like dawn breaking through a foggy night. A warmth that seeps through the cracks of cold walls. Like sunlight spilling golden onto winter's gray, chasing shadows from corners you didn't know existed. It's the flutter of wings, unseen but felt, the weightless leap of a heart uncaged. It's the trembling pause before a whispered truth, the steady rhythm of a heartbeat shared. Love is a storm that hums instead of roars, a downpour of promises soaking your soul. It's a quiet fire that never burns out, the steady glow of embers beneath life's chaos. It tastes like sweetness on a bitter tongue, like laughter spilled in an empty room. It's the steady anchor in a rushing tide, the hand you reach for without thinking why. Love feels like everything and nothing at once, a paradox of calm and unending desire. It's a home you've never been to, but always knew, and the echo of a voice calling, you're safe.
Didn't rhyme. Wasn't good.
1, it doesn't rhyme. 2, like if it was like being played in the background to like some guitar music, you're like, oh, this is a nice little love song. Then you start picking apart. Read the first stanza again. I'm going to tell you when to stop.
Love feels like dawn breaking through a foggy night. A warmth that seeps through the cracks of cold walls.
Hold on. Warm through cracks and cold walls? Where is this odd structure that somehow the walls themselves are cold?
Love's unpredictable, Jesse.
Continue. There was something
like sunlight spilling golden onto winter's gray, chasing shadows from corners you didn't know existed.
Where exactly are there corners you don't know existed? What does that even mean? Like, am I in a room? Am I in a room that I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it had this little, cutaway seating area. There's corners over there I didn't exist in.
You're not supposed to analyze poetry like that. It's abstract.
No, you actually are supposed to analyze poetry. That is the whole basis of poetry.
Yeah, that's what
analyzing literature.
But my point is, like, the idea of love can only be expressed in sort of metaphorical means. And so, like, using a computer to try to figure out what it is, not mimic the expression of it, I think that's the leap that I don't. Again, I've said it before on the show. Like, once it starts writing good jokes, I'll be concerned. But there is a leap that it has yet to make that only humans can do, that I just don't know that you can make into a formula. You know,
I'm going to ask it for a joke.
Yeah, tell it to write a good joke. Let's see what it says.
Here's the prompt. Ready? You're a podcaster on the Relevant Podcast, which is very, all caps, funny. Write a good joke for the show.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
It said, sure, here's a joke that fits the quirky, fun vibe of the Relevant Podcast. Why did the cool youth pastor start a podcast?
Why?
Because sermons were reaching the Spotify generation. Now he's got a hot mic, a cooler of LaCroix, and 12 listeners who are all his small group kids.
Oh, let's watch out, Fallon. About to get replaced. Honestly, that's about that level of joke. But
that was awful. Oh,
yeah. But that's I don't even know if I can say that's a joke.
It understands.
I don't even know what that
understands the structure of a joke, and it understands the concept, but it doesn't. It isn't capable of understanding humor. You know what I mean?
Jesse, I don't think you realize how desperate people are in online dating. So they're fine with whatever.
I'm going to push back on that one personally. Not everyone on the dating apps are that desperate. But honestly, that is what it is with this AI thing. Like, it's one part of it just like feels really desperate that you're having to like rely on an algorithm to find human connection. But it also is laziness, because if I find out a guy didn't actually like read my profile and like find me interesting, if he just like checked out and was like, oh, AI said I should talk to you, I'd be like, well, I don't want to talk to you then, like, because you don't actually.
But what if AI sent him to your door and he showed up with flowers and candy and
I would say, how did you get my address? I live in a gated apartment complex.
AI gave him your credit card number too. So, you know.
Oh, so now I have identity theft. Thank you, AI.
Guys, I don't know if you guys seen the new Mission Impossible, but here's what happens with AI. It becomes self-aware and takes over all the nuclear capabilities of the world. Pretty scary. Okay, only Tom Cruise can save the day, and it's part 1 of 2, the film. So it's kind of lame. I hate that. By the way, side note:
Tom Cruise is going to buy Bumble.
I hate the trend right now in Hollywood of releasing like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse or whatever. I gotta wait 5 years to find out the conclusion. Same thing with the Fast and Furious. I watched Wicked this weekend. I'm like, dude. You couldn't wrap it in 3 hours. I got to wait now to the next movie to I hate this trend. Let's please stop.
You know that the Broadway show is 2 halves with a big intermission, and this was part 1 and then intermission, and then they're
right.
part 2.
But the Broadway play, I think, is only about 3 hours total. Yeah. Both part 1 and 2, this will be about 4 hours.
Yeah.
Great. We got to have a camera panning over the dandelion fields. You got to add space and context.
Or release them at the same time, at least. Like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The last scene, spoiler alert, is a cliffhanger. The hero is tied to a chair with the villain standing there about to kill him. I got to wait 3 years to find out what happens to end that scene. It's just so dumb. I hate this. And it's the new Dom Toretto's like tied up in a tower, in a clock tower or something at the end of the new Fast and Furious.
He's Rapunzel. Rapunzel, but bald.
We got to find out what happens to Dom Toretto in 6 years when the new Fast and Furious movie comes out. Same thing with this new Mission Impossible. I got to wait. Just release them. If you're going to do it, release at the same time. But otherwise, just tell the story in the confine. I'm going to get off this rant.
You're talking to a TV guy, and I mean, obviously, Stranger Things was famous for this. They released like 5 episodes and wait 2 years. Yeah. And release 5 episodes and wait 2 years. Like, bring back the 24 episode season, please. But I mean, like, literally, I was invested in Apple TV, this Mosquito Coast show, which is fantastic. And it left season 2 on this massive cliffhanger, and then they canceled the show. Yeah. And I'm like, I just invested 2 seasons into this show and I have no clue what happens. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. At least these movies will eventually come out.
It is interesting. I do feel like Hollywood, I don't know what it is, but like they are taking their sweet, sweet time with movies and TV shows. Like, because I've seen people online talk about like the Stranger Things of like, why is it taking 4 years to get one season, like a 10 episode season out? And I've seen people try to defend it online. And I'm like, you don't understand. We used to have 24 episode seasons every single year. Like, this is doable. People are just being lazy.
Yeah, lazy. All right. That'll do it for Slices. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com every day, where we are covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. Stay tuned. After this break, Jinger Duggar Vuolo joins us.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold.
Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold.
Well, our guest today is Jinger Duggar Vuolo. You know her as one of the kids from 19 Kids and Counting, but she's been on a major transformation over the last several years, carving her own path, and as she told us last year, I think, disentangling her faith. Today, we talked to her about something a lot of us can probably relate to: breaking free from people-pleasing attitudes. She opens up about how she's unlearning habits from her childhood and gaining confidence through God. Here's our conversation with Jinger Duggar Vuolo.
Well, I guess the first question I'd love to ask is, when did you first realize that you might be a people pleaser?
Yeah, I think that I first realized I was a people pleaser It was actually, as a young child, I struggled with it a lot. And I kind of was one who just wanted everybody to be happy with me all the time. I wanted to get along, didn't want to ruffle anyone's feathers. So I kind of carried myself in that way. Whatever I could do to just stay at peace with everyone around me was my goal. And so it wasn't until I wrote my last book, Becoming Free Indeed, which we got to talk about together. When I wrote that book, it was interesting because I started to realize how much of a people pleaser I truly was. Throughout the time of the writing process, I kept feeling this tension of wanting to speak up, but also being terrified to do so because I was afraid that I was going to break relationships with friends, with loved ones. And it was really difficult for me as a people pleaser because I felt, in a sense, trapped by that. Trapped by what people would think about me. And at the end of the day, when no one else would speak up against the teachings that I grew up under, I realized that out of necessity, I had to speak up. I was the last person who wanted to do it, but it was necessary. And so I think once I realized that, I was in a place where I realized I'm going to move forward no matter what, because this is what I know I need to do. I feel convicted to do. So I wrote that book, and it was amazing to see how much growth happened in that process, how much freedom I found from people pleasing, just being willing to speak up, not letting even bullies or other people silence me. And that was something that was very hard, but also very needful.
You mentioned this started when you were a kid. Do you think that's something that you were intentionally taught, or was that perhaps a result of just like the environment that you grew up in?
Yeah, I think that a lot of our stories of people pleasing, for anybody who struggles with it, there often is a time where you are taught something or you're raised in a certain environment, and it affects the way that you view those around you and how you seek for approval and acceptance. And I think that with the teachings of Bill Gothard, that was something that I noticed was kind of expected of you, was to always have a smile on your face. And as a woman, to make sure that you're keeping your husband happy by being joyful, by keeping the house together, by doing all of these things. And even in a church environment, you're encouraged to keep up a certain level of joy, or always having a good day and not letting people into your life. And so I think that these threads of people pleasing we can see them, and we can often trace them back to things in our lives, an event, or even our childhood. So for me, I know that being raised under those teachings, which were more rules-based, it was easy to just do the right thing, to do all the rules. But then once you speak up against those rules and you realize wow, this is going to be difficult because I've been looked at as maybe the rule follower in the family. And once I speak out against it, that could change. It was a hard realization to come to. And also it was very freeing once I did, because I realized, well, this is the most loving thing to do. I'm not doing anything out of spite, out of anger. It's all out of a heart of wanting to help and wanting to expose these teachings so other people can come to freedom as well.
It's interesting what you said, that being a people pleaser is the most loving thing you can do. Can you unpack that for me a bit? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think that people pleasing can come in many different forms. So I talk about this in my book, and I even have a people pleaser assessment. So I felt like it would be helpful to throw that into the book, and also to have questions at the end of each chapter that you can kind of ask yourself and just be honest about where you are in your people pleasing. And so when I looked at it, for me, my people pleasing led me to isolation. So I would isolate myself from other people thinking, okay, I don't want to have, go out to coffee with this girl because maybe she will ask me a hard question and I won't know what to say. Or if it was like another mom, maybe she feeds her kids only organic food and I don't, and maybe I will feel judged by her. And so just trying to protect myself from somebody else's disapproval by not entering into community and relationships with others, not being vulnerable and honest about even differences. I think that was something that was hard, right? Fear of rejection. I thought that arguments equal rejection, which is just not true. We have to talk through things. We have to have disagreements in order to have any sort of true community and relationship. And so I think for me, I went to the isolation, but a lot of people go to over-serving, where they feel like I'm doing everything for everyone. I will say yes to every single person. I can't say no. It's hard for me to say no. So I'm going to take on all these responsibilities. Within the church, we see it where we have these serial servers, as I call them, where they're doing everything. They're playing the piano. They're bringing a potluck meal. They're printing out the bulletins. They're helping lead a women's Bible study. And it's like, wow, you have all these areas where you're serving, but what is the heart motivation? And I think that that's the question we all have to ask. What is our heart motivation in what we're doing, who we're doing it for? And that can be even in the isolation, it's like, well, I'm not hurting anybody by not being in community. Well, yes, you are. You're robbing that person of a true friendship, and you're robbing yourself of that as well. And it's very selfish and it's manipulative if you're trying to get stuff out of people. Like, well, I'm only going to be your friend if I can know that I'm going to be, gaining your approval or getting something I need from you. And so whenever we stop looking at relationships saying, what can I get from you? What can you give me? Then we look at first and we say, how can I love and serve this person? Because I am truly satisfied in who I am in Christ. And now I want to lay down my life and serve you. It changes everything. And so I think that from one side to the other, there are imbalances, and we have to realize that and then ask God to help us to love and serve others, not seeking to gain anything from them, as Christ did.
Okay, so it seems like the first step is identifying yourself as a people pleaser. What would you say is the next step to start addressing it and moving on from it?
Yeah, I think that's that mindset. It's a daily battle. So for anybody who struggles with people pleasing, it will be the moment you walk into a room of people you don't know. You're thinking, what do they think about me? Do they like my outfit? Did I say something stupid? That was always my go-to. For 3 days after I walked in, to a certain setting, I would just feel this tension of going over every word and thinking, what did I say? What are they going to think about me? And ultimately, that is not loving. That is selfish. And so for us to reorient our minds to think on what is true and how can we love this person in front of us, it's difficult. It's something that is a struggle. But like I said, it starts with your thoughts. It starts with how you're viewing others. And if we're viewing them, like I said, as someone to get something from, someone to gain something from, then that is only going to lead us down a path of selfishness, and it's not going to ultimately allow us to serve other people around us. And so it does start with your thoughts, and it's a struggle because these old thought patterns come back time and time again, and it takes time to conquer those patterns. But once we start to reorient our thoughts in a way that is loving and Christ honoring, serving others first, putting them before ourselves, then that does change everything. And so, yeah, it's not an easy process for sure, but I think that it is amazing to see the growth that can happen when we start to not allow our mind to wander and to take, those thoughts that come in and think, okay, that's not right. I'm not going to think that way about this person. And I want to love them as Christ loved me.
That was Jinger Duggar Vuolo. Make sure to check out her new book, People Pleaser. It's out now. All right, stay tuned. We have your feedback.
Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful, preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment. $10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN.
Okay, it's time for your feedback. Last week, we asked you, what is the best relationship advice you've ever said or heard, shared or heard? And this is very apropos after we just talked about AI relationship stuff a couple segments ago. So here you go. You hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast, and here is a few of our favorite replies.
I like Lindsay's because I do think this applies to just beyond relationships, but life in general. Always eat before making serious decisions or having serious, important conversations.
Like, don't go into a heart-to-heart hangry.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like a version of don't let the sun go down on your anger. Don't go to bed
on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
Always have snacks available is what you're saying.
Yeah. Have a nice slice of pizza or two before, you really want to decide if you're going to engage in this argument.
Always keep a Snickers in your pocket.
Yeah.
For her.
Yeah. That's what I
if you
says the deeply single guy.
Let's have a caveat to that one. Yeah, do not hand someone food before you get into an argument so that they're not angry.
Sounds like you need this,
I'm sensing you're going to need this Snickers.
Yeah, before you yell at me, try this first.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good from Nina. It sounds dumb to say, but a good reminder is that your partner is not a mind reader. You should tell them things out loud. That is good unless you married an actual mind reader. So there's slight caveat there, like a mentalist, for example.
Not a lip reader, a mind reader. Got it.
Can you imagine being married to a mentalist?
Pretty terrifying.
It would be terrifying.
I think most mentalists are single for that reason.
I was going to ask, do we know the ratio of married mentalists?
I feel like,
first of all, I don't think it's real, number one.
Yeah,
right.
I will say this. I feel like people in the professional magician adjacent, there's a high level of singleness there. I feel like they're kind of married to the craft.
I watch a guy on socials that does card tricks quite a bit.
Yeah.
Deeply single. Yeah,
it's shocking to me because it seems like the most romantic thing ever. But from my experience, being a fan of magic and these individuals, most of them don't have much of a romantic life. It's shocking, but professional magicians, it's a lonely field,
Jeff Mitchell said, don't ever compare your current partners to previous ones. It won't end well for anyone. Trust me, LOL. Oh, I feel like there's a story there, Jeff Mitchell.
Yeah.
And he's like, and if you do, make sure they're several Snickers deep at that point. You know who wouldn't eat 4 Snickers at one time? Carol, who I dated in college. This is good from Tom Bennett 123. You may be together, but you are independent people. Get space to yourselves. Good idea, Tom. So you got to practice your mentalism at some point.
In private.
Kind of a solo activity.
Your spouse does not want to see your mentalism. You need to do that on your own.
Yeah.
You haven't get space to yourselves. Do you think he means just like your own interests, your own hobbies, like Jesse, when you go to the gym and things like that?
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I think that's either people are different people or like,
or if she's like really into crafting, like, support her in that. That's fine. Let her have her thing. She enjoys it.
It doesn't mean like what both of you don't have to be into fishing, but if one of you is, go fishing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you have to share everything.
I will say it is annoying. Like I have had a couple friends who they start dating someone, and then girls' nights turn into girls' night plus their boyfriend, and we have to like awkwardly have conversations where it's like, your boyfriend's great, I don't really want him to hang out with it. Like, you should have space with us.
It doesn't help that all those girls were dating mentalists.
So it turns into a Mel Gibson movie where he knows what women are thinking.
Yeah. You know, the weird thing about that movie, I heard someone else bring this up at some point, thinking back, there's one scene where he reads a female dog's mind. He's like walking through the park and he can read the mind of a dog because the dog is woman. That seems like a much bigger plot, that he can read animals' minds. Like, that seems like...
Yeah, well, you're veering into Dr. Dolittle mentalism.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It seems like a much, like if I discovered I had the ability to read women's minds and all of a sudden that transcended to the animal kingdom, I think I would quickly lose interest in human women.
Humans, I go to SeaWorld immediately.
Exactly.
See what Shamu's up to.
Exactly. It's a major plot hole in that film.
Yeah.
Granted, that film is about a man who sustains a head injury, or is he electrocuted or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he's
some injury, yeah,
and has for some reason a sexist telepathy, but they're really missing an opportunity to dive into the animal kingdom, which is firmly established in the film.
Yeah.
He can read the minds of us. Yeah.
It could be the follow-up. I mean, it is canon now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a lot more where that came from. Go check out our replies. It's time for this week's
editorial question of the week. Hey.
All right. Well, at the beginning of the show, Jesse was bemoaning that he has to wait 6 whole weeks from New Year's to Valentine's without a party to attend.
That's
and
right.
We're not, dismissing MLK Day where you can watch
Groundhog
basketball.
Day.
Stay home and watch basketball, stay home and watch groundhogs. He wants parties. He wants activities. So we want you to help invent a winter holiday that will live between New Year's and Valentine's Day that will give people a reason to gather and celebrate with decorations. Tell us the name of the holiday and what it'll be about and what you will do to celebrate.
And remember, recognizing and celebrating this holiday will be mandatory and strictly enforced under new heavy-handed law enforcement standards.
From the new Secretary of the Interior. Yes.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. It's a big job.
Well, thanks again to Jinger Duggar Vuolo for joining us today. Make sure to check out her new book, People Pleaser. It is out now. Also, make sure to check out the new issue of Relevant. Issue 116 is available for free. You can read it for free at relevantmagazine.com. Just click on the magazine tab. If you want our beautiful digital magazine, join Relevant Plus. You get that. You get this podcast ad-free. You get unlimited ad-free reading at relevantmagazine.com as well, and more stuff in the works. Plans start as low as $250 a month, and it's the best way to get our content. If you follow us on IG, you've probably seen us previewing or showing screenshots of all the magazine layouts and stuff from the new issue. It's pretty cool. We're doing that to like tease y'all to go, oh, wow, that looks great. I want to get that. So you can get that. You can sign up for Relevant Plus at relevantmagazine.com. All right. On that note, we'll wrap it. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
We'll see you on Friday. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Sounds like you need this.
Relevant Podcast Network.